The Air Around Us, Chapter 16, Part 1 Notes. The air around us is called ambient air. Any damaging materials released in that air is considered pollution. Examples could be anything ranging from smoke, to haze, to dust, to odors and noise in the air, corrosive gases, or toxic compounds. The EPA estimates that 147 million metric tons of air pollution are released by the U.S. each year by humans. Now, air quality in developed countries like the U.S. is getting better as regulations are progressing, but unfortunately developing countries, as they are moving to industrial stages, are creating more and more air pollution. Natural sources of air pollution. As discussed in class, not all air pollution is necessarily bad. Natural levels of air pollution are okay, but only when enhanced by human pollution do they become hazardous. Natural sources of air pollution vary. Volcanoes, sea spray and decaying vegetation, and trees all are sources of natural air pollution. Human sources of air pollution. When we add human air pollution to the air, that's when we get in trouble. There are many types of human sources of air pollution, but we categorize them into two groups first. We say whether it's a primary pollutant or a secondary pollutant. Primary pollutants are released directly into the atmosphere. Secondary pollutants are substances that are modified once they've reached the atmosphere, so maybe they've reacted with something in the air to mix and create a new chemical. There's another group of emissions that we call fugitive emissions. These are fumes that don't go through a smokestack. So we could think of dust from soil erosion, the results of strip mining, rock crushing, or construction are all human sources of air pollution by way of fugitive emissions. In 1970, the Clean Air Act was passed. This act states that there are some major pollutants in the environment. We call these critical pollutants. They include sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, particulates, hydrocarbons, nitrogen oxides, photochemical oxidants, and lead. We're going to look at these critical pollutants next to see where each of them comes from. Sulfur compounds. Sulfur compounds come from natural sources and human sources like combustion of gas, oil, or coal. 90% of the sulfur that's in the atmosphere is contributed by urban areas. Sulfur pollution can lead to reduced visibility, odors in the air, and sulfur dioxide specifically causes damages to plants and can oxidize to form sulfuric acid, which will lead to acid rain. Nitrogen compounds. Nitrogen compounds in the atmosphere are highly reactive. Some of these will oxidize with the water in the atmosphere and cause nitric acid, which causes acid rain. We contribute nitrogen compounds to the air by combustion or naturally through bacteria processes. Carbon oxides. These are the most familiar air pollution types because carbon dioxide is a factor in global climate change. Carbon dioxide is the predominant form of carbon that's found in the air. But 90% of carbon dioxide comes from respiration, even though the rest comes from burning fossil fuels, forest and gas fires, manufacturing, and other human activities. Carbon monoxide is also a problem in our atmosphere. This is a result of incomplete fuel combustion or biomass incineration. Particulate matter. All atmospheric aerosols, any particles suspended in the air, are considered particulate matter. Examples of these would be dust, ash, soot, lint, pollen, spores, the ones that we listed in class as well. The most visible form of pollution is particulate material because we can actually see it in the air or see it on our tables and the ground when we see dust and ash and soot settle. The human health concerns with particulate matter are really great. This can cause heart and lung disease and allergies because the particles are large enough to get stuck in our lungs. Metals and halogens. Metal fumes or suspended particles from fuel combustion or smelting and waste deposits fit in this category. 2/3 of the metallic air pollution is caused by lead, by burning lead fuel. We've banned burning lead fuel, but not all countries have, so this is still a problem, although it is decreasing. Natural sources can be found in volcanoes or rock weathering, or humans from the above listed activities. Another metal in the air that is a problem is mercury, which we've discussed in class at length. Volatile organic chemicals. These are organic chemicals that exist in a gaseous form. They can be given off by different plants or bacteria, or when we partially burn hydrocarbons, or through processes in our refineries and chemical and power plants. Volatile organic chemicals can combine to form other things in the atmosphere that cause problems. Some of these things are photochemical oxidants. These are secondary atmospheric reactions driven by solar energy. The main example of photochemical oxidants is ozone. As we discussed in class, we have nitrogen dioxide that then splits to leave a single oxygen, which joins with our atmospheric O2, and then creates O3, which is the chemical formula for ozone. Now, ozone in the stratosphere is a good thing. It blocks out the UV rays, and we like that. Ozone in the troposphere, however, damages vegetation and building materials and is an irritant to our skin, eyes, nose, and other body parts. Other air toxins are called hazardous air pollutants. This is a category that's monitored heavily by the EPA because they are particularly dangerous. Examples would be carcinogens, neurotoxins, and endocrine disruptors. The Toxic Release Inventory states that all manufacturing companies have to have a list of information of the chemicals that they release. They report these toxins so that way they can be monitored closely. Finally, we have some additional pollutants we need to consider when we talk about air pollution. Air pollution isn't just the stuff we're putting into the air, but also what's taking away from our natural environment. Aesthetic degradation is an undesirable change to a physical characteristic or chemistry of the atmosphere. When we add too much noise, light, or odors to the air, it changes our aesthetic view of the atmosphere, and these can be considered pollutants. While they cause no human harm, they may cause maybe an emotional change or a more mental change in a person. Indoor air pollutants are also another category of pollutants. You can think of smoking or chemicals released from the materials that you use to build your home or paint your walls with. Indoor air pollutants can be reduced by using green design, which we discussed in class. 2.5 billion people are affected by pollution from organic fuels. This example would be firewood, burning waste, or cooking. Lots of areas don't have well ventilation for their wood-burning stoves or their cooking fires, which we also discussed in class, and could become a problem for air pollution.